Hi, I'm Anthony DeSanctis, cinema comedy specialist at ArtsQuest. Here are my top 10 favorite movies of the decade. Number 10, Phantom Thread, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. I'm a big Paul Thomas Anderson fan, no two films he makes are the same. Magnolia, Boogie Nights, There Will Be Blood. Basically, you get this almost Hitchcockian romance about these two people that are just they keep hurting each other, but at the same time it brings them closer together. And if this is Daniel Day-Lewis's final film, he goes out with a mic drop. He said he's retiring. I hope that's not true, but if so, it's quite the way to end an incredible career. And in addition, Johnny Greenwood's score for the movie, Johnny Greenwood of Radiohead, I think is the best score of the decade. It's absolutely beautiful. My 9th favorite movie of the decade is the Pixar film Coco. I'm always excited for a Pixar movie. They know how to pull at your heartstrings, but I was not ready for the emotional roller coaster that would be the last 20 minutes of this movie. When it ended, I cried ugly tears. I love Coco with every ounce of my being, and Remember Me, the song from the movie, is an incredible plot device that they keep coming back to. Simple but effective. It's just such an amazing movie. My 8th favorite movie of the decade is Avengers Endgame. This is easily the most satisfying movie ever made. It has to pay off 21 other movies, so it better be satisfying. The third act of the film is just probably the greatest spectacle I've ever seen put on film. Avengers Endgame, number 8. My 7th favorite movie of the decade is a film from Argentina called Wild Tales. I saw this on a whim. I had 2 hours to kill before my shift at work, so I went to see Wild Tales, and I didn't know what to expect, but it's basically just this 2-hour adrenaline rush of 6 different vignettes about human behavior at its most extreme. You see what it takes to push somebody to their breaking point, and it's fantastic. You will not be bored watching this film. My 6th favorite movie of the decade is Christopher Nolan's Inception. Hot off The Dark Knight, I was a Nolan fanboy, and anybody who says there are no new original ideas in Hollywood, this movie puts that claim to shame. This movie was innovative, it was groundbreaking, and I just loved it. And I think my favorite part of the movie is basically the sheer fact that the villain in the movie is essentially just a manifestation of Leonardo DiCaprio's guilt for his wife dying. And that is basically the villain trying to sabotage all of their dreams. And I absolutely love Inception. It is already a classic. There's no denying that. My 5th favorite movie of the decade is Sing Street from 2016. This was directed by John Carney, who did Begin Again and Once. And he clearly has a love for both film and music, and the music never lets you down. This film is basically just about a kid who starts a band to impress a girl, and he grows closer to his brother. He finds himself in the process throughout the different artists he explores, trying to figure out where exactly his voice is. The album for the film should have been the soundtrack of the summer. Drive It Like You Stole It should have been all over the radio in 2016. I still listen to this album on repeat. The film always brings a smile to my face. And number 5, Sing Street. My 4th favorite movie of the decade is Toy Story 3. I'm close to Andy's age in the movie. I grew up with Toy Story, so this movie just hit me on every level. This can make even the hardest person made of stone into a ball of mush. I bawled my eyes out. I saw this movie 3 times in theaters and I cried every time. My heart was pounding out of my chest at certain times during the movie. You all know what I'm talking about if you've seen the end of the movie. Toy Story 3 is the best of the bunch, and is definitely my favorite Disney Pixar film. My 3rd favorite movie of the decade is a film called Never Look Away. This is from the director of The Lives of Others. I saw this at the Toronto International Film Festival last year. I had 2 films at the same location about 6 hours apart, and this film I kind of just stumbled in on accident because it was the film that played in between those 2, and it was 3 hours, so I had time to kill. And I was like, a 3-hour German movie? Alright, sure. Never Look Away is kind of the Cinema Paradiso for art. It's like a 20-year exploration of modern art, kind of set throughout the backdrop of World War II into the 60s. in Germany. This film is almost it feels very Spielberg-like. It's definitely something Spielberg could make. You know, it's sentimental, it's violent, it's beautiful. I love everything about this. The cinematography is absolutely breathtaking, and the score. This is a movie that, you know, I don't think enough people have seen, and everybody should see. My second favorite movie of the decade is from 2011. It's called Warrior, directed by Gavin O'Connor. This film starred Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton, who at the time were relatively unknown. I mean, they were both working, but they weren't the A-list stars that they are today. And also Nick Nolte's in the movie as well. The film kind of came and went at the theaters. I actually didn't see it in the movie theater. But to me, this was the best picture of 2011. This is the most underrated movie of the decade. It should have been nominated for every single Academy Award. It should have won every single Academy Award. It's basically just a simple story of two brothers who have been estranged for almost 20 years, and they both enter a mixed martial arts tournament. And spoiler alert, in the trailer they tell you this, so it's okay. They become the final two, and they have to fight each other. It is an emotional gut punch. It is powerful. It is heartbreaking. You know, I find myself rooting for both brothers at different times of the movie. It's one of the few times that I've legitimately stood up from my couch and screamed at the television. I hope everybody discovers this movie. It is phenomenal. Warrior, the best picture of 2011. And my favorite movie of the decade, my #1 favorite film of the decade, is also one of my favorite movies ever made, in my top 5. That's Damien Chazelle's Whiplash. I saw this movie in 2014. I was hooked from start to finish. It's a movie that it grabs you and it holds you and it doesn't let you go. I walked out and I was still thinking about the movie, and days later I was still thinking about what I had just seen. And I've always felt that J.K. Simmons is just, you know, he makes every film better, and he never really got the credit he deserved until this film. This is the movie that said, hey, I'm more than just one of those that guy actors. I'm a force to be reckoned with, and Whiplash is just a movie that, you know, it's perfection. There's nothing wrong with this movie. Everything about it, from the editing to the music to the performances, it's a movie that should be studied in film school for years and years to come. Whiplash is my favorite movie of the decade.